The Phantom returns. Captain Maya Chen stood at the viewport of the ESA Dauntless, her gaze fixed on the distant stars as her ship slid silently through the void. The bridge crew worked in hushed tones behind her, the atmosphere heavy with the weight of their recent defeat. 3 more colonies lost in the Arcturus sector, thousands of lives snuffed out by the relentless advance of the Sulfuri Empire. Status report, Maya said, turning away from the viewport. Her uniform, once crisp and proper, now showed the strain of 3 days without rest. Commander Ishida, her first officer, approached with a data tablet. Not good, Captain. Fleet Command has ordered a full retreat from the Epsilon Quadrant. The Sulfuri have broken through our defensive line at Proxima Station. Maya's jaw tightened. That puts them within striking distance of Nuterra. Yes, Captain. At their current pace, they'll reach the colony within 2 weeks. 8 years of war against the Sulfuri had pushed humanity to the brink. Each defeat brought them closer to extinction, their technology outmatched by the alien empire's advanced weaponry and seemingly infinite resources. The Earth Federation Navy was down to its last reserves, scraping together whatever ships and personnel remained to form a desperate final line of defense. We can't let Nuterra fall, Maya said. 2 million civilians with nowhere to evacuate. Fleet Command knows that, Ishida replied. But after losing the 7th Fleet at Deneb, we simply don't have the firepower to stop them. Maya was about to respond when Lieutenant Patel called out from the sensor station. Captain, urgent transmission from the EFSA's Valiant. They're under attack in the Tauri system. The Tauri system. Maya frowned. That's not on the Sulfuri advance path. No, ma'am. They were on patrol when 3 Sulfuri dreadnoughts appeared. They're requesting immediate assistance. Maya exchanged a look with Ishida. The Valiant was an aging cruiser with a crew of 800. Against 3 dreadnoughts, they wouldn't last 15 minutes. How far? Maya asked. At maximum burn, 3 hours, Paddle replied. Too long, Ishida said quietly. Maya nodded. But we have to try. Set course for the Tauri system, maximum speed. Alert medical to prepare for casualties. The Dauntless changed course, its engines flaring as it accelerated to full speed. Maya knew they would arrive too late, but she couldn't abandon the Valiant without trying. 2 hours and 40 minutes later, as the Dauntless approached the Tauri system, Lieutenant Patel looked up from his console in confusion. Captain, I'm getting strange readings from the battle zone. Define strange, Lieutenant. The Valiant is still there, and only 1 Sulfuri dreadnought remains. The other 2 they appear to be destroyed. Maya moved to the sensor station. That's impossible. Show me. The main view screen activated, showing the tactical situation. The Valiant was indeed still there, heavily damaged but intact. The wreckage of 2 Sulfuri dreadnoughts floated nearby, and the 3rd was retreating at high speed. How did they manage that? Ishida whispered beside her. Unknown, sir, Paddle replied. But I'm detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the area, like nothing I've ever seen before. As the Dauntless closed the distance, they established communication with the Valiant. Its captain, an older man named Hernandez, appeared on screen. His face was bloodied, and smoke filled the bridge behind him. Captain Chen, he said, you won't believe what just happened here. Try me, Captain Hernandez. We were finished. Shields down, weapons offline. Then it appeared out of nowhere, a Federation warship, but like nothing I've ever seen. Black hull, advanced weaponry. It tore through 2 dreadnoughts like they were made of paper, then vanished before we could even thank them. Maya frowned. Vanished? As in, jumped to FTL. No, Hernandez replied, his voice lowering. It literally vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. But before it disappeared, we managed to get a partial ID from its hull. He paused, his expression grave. EGFS Wraith, NX 336. Behind Maya, Ishida gasped. Everyone on the bridge who heard the name fell silent. "That's impossible," Maya said. "The Wraith was destroyed 20 years ago during the Battle of Proxima Centauri. The ESS Wraith had been legendary, the most advanced prototype warship ever built by humanity, lost with all hands during the early exploration days, long before the Xelphori War began. Its experimental phase shift drive had catastrophically failed during its maiden voyage, resulting in a massive explosion that had been witnessed by 3 other Federation vessels. "I know what the history books say," Hernandez replied. "But I know what I saw. It was the Wraith, or its ghost." 3 days later, Maya stood in the office of Admiral Kazimir Petrov at Earth Fleet Headquarters. The glass wall behind his desk offered a panoramic view of San Francisco Bay, rebuilt after the Xelphori bombing 5 years earlier. "I've reviewed your report," Captain Petrov said, his weathered face solemn. "And it's not the first one." He gestured, and a holographic display appeared above his desk, showing a star map with a dozen points of light scattered across Federation space. "These are confirmed sightings of what we've been calling the Phantom ship over the last 6 months. Always the same pattern. It appears during battles where Federation forces are overwhelmed, turns the tide, and then vanishes." Maya studied the map, her mind racing. "And you believe it's the Wraith?" 3 different captains have reported partial identification of the hull markings, all matching the Wraith. "But that's impossible. I was there when the Wraith was destroyed. I saw the explosion myself." Maya looked up sharply. "You were there, sir?" Petrov nodded slowly. "I was a lieutenant on the ESS Constellation. We were part of the escort for the Wraith's maiden voyage." His eyes grew distant. "When the phase shift drive activated, there was a massive energy surge, then a blinding light. When it cleared, the Wraith was gone. We searched for weeks but found nothing, not even debris." He turned back to Maya. "That's why I've called you here, Captain. I'm giving you a new mission. Find this Phantom ship, determine if it is indeed the Wraith, and if so, how it survived. With respect, Admiral, we're in the middle of a war. The Xelphori are still advancing, yes, but this Phantom ship has single-handedly turned the tide in multiple engagements. If we could understand its technology or even communicate with it, it could change the course of the war." Maya couldn't argue with that logic. "Very well, Admiral. Where do I start?" "Our analysts have identified a pattern in the sightings." Petrov manipulated the hologram, and several of the points connected with lines. "The Phantom ship appears to be following the Xelphori fleet movements, targeting their advance forces. Based on this pattern, we believe it might appear next at Rigel Station." "Rigel is a research outpost," Maya said. "Not strategically important." "No, but it's where Dr. Elena Sokolov is working on phase shift technology, the same technology that the Wraith was testing when it disappeared." Understanding dawned on Maya. "You think there's a connection?" "I do. And I think that Xelphori might be aware of it too. Our intelligence indicates they're planning to hit Rigel Station within the next 48 hours. Maya nodded. "The Dauntless will be ready." "Not just the Dauntless," Petrov replied. "I'm giving you a task force. 3 ships, the Dauntless, the Intrepid, and the Fearless." Maya's eyebrows rose. That represented a significant portion of their remaining fleet strength. "One more thing, Captain," Petrov added, his voice dropping. "If you do find the Wraith, there's something you should know about its commander." "Sir." Captain Adrian Rice was more than just the Wraith's commander. He was pioneering the phase shift technology alongside Dr. Sokolov's team. They were also, he hesitated, romantically involved. Maya absorbed this information. "You think Dr. Sokolov might be able to communicate with the Wraith somehow?" "It's a theory, one worth testing, given our desperate situation." 2 days later, the Dauntless led its small task force into the Rigel system. Rigel Station hung in orbit around the system's 4th planet, a sprawling structure of interconnected modules dedicated to advanced physics research. "No sign of Xelphori activity yet," Ishida reported from his station. "They'll come, Maya replied. Have the task force spread out. I want eyes on every approach vector. As her orders were carried out, Maya opened a channel to Rigel Station. This is Captain Maya Chen of the EFS Dauntless. I need to speak with Dr. Elena Sokolov immediately. After a brief delay, a woman's face appeared on screen. Dr. Sokolov was in her 60s, with silver hair pulled back in a severe bun and penetrating blue eyes that seemed to look through Maya rather than at her. Captain Chen, she said, to what do I owe this unexpected visit from the Navy? Dr. Sokolov, we have reason to believe that Selfori are planning an attack on Rigel Station. We're here to defend the station, but also because we need your expertise on a matter of grave importance. Sokolov's expression remained impassive. What matter? The EFS Wraith. For the first time, Sokolov's composure cracked. A flicker of emotion, pain, hope, fear crossed her face before she masked it again. The Wraith was destroyed 20 years ago, Captain. Everyone knows that. What if it wasn't? What if the phase shift drive didn't destroy the ship but sent it elsewhere? Sokolov's eyes narrowed. What have you seen, Captain? Before Maya could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Selfori ships dropping out of FTL, Patel shouted. 5 dreadnoughts and multiple support vessels. Battle stations, Maya ordered, turning back to the screen. Dr. Sokolov, we need to continue this conversation, but first we must defend your station. Please prepare for emergency evacuation if necessary. Sokolov nodded sharply. I'll be ready. But Captain, if what you're suggesting is true, there's something you need to know about the phase shift technology. What's that? It was never meant to be a drive system at all. It was designed as a cloaking device, a way to shift slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, rendering a ship invisible and untouchable. Maya felt a chill run down her spine as she remembered the reports. A ship that appeared and disappeared at will, that seemed to pass through Selfori defenses with ease. Then how do we contact it? How do we communicate with a ship that exists partially outside our reality? You don't, Sokolov replied. But I might be able to, if it really is the Wraith. I helped design the quantum communication system specifically to maintain contact during phase shifting. The conversation was cut short as the first Selfori weapons fire struck the Fearless, lighting up its shields with brilliant energy. We'll continue this after we deal with the Selfori, Maya said, closing the channel. The battle that followed was brutal. Though outnumbered, Maya's task force fought with determination, positioning themselves between the Selfori fleet and Rigel Station. But as minutes stretched into an hour, their situation became increasingly desperate. Fearless reports shield failure on their port side, Ishida called out. Intrepid's weapons are down to 30% capacity. Maya gripped the arms of her command chair. Have them fall back to secondary positions. We need to buy time for Rigel Station to evacuate their essential personnel. Captain, Patel interrupted, his voice tense with excitement. I'm detecting an energy distortion at coordinates 227 by 114. Maya leaned forward. On screen. The view screen showed empty space, then a ripple like heat rising from hot pavement. The ripple expanded, and suddenly a ship materialized, sleek, black, with predatory lines and weapons unlike anything in the Federation arsenal. Its hull bore the markings EFS Wraith, NX 336. It's really here, Maya whispered. The Wraith didn't hesitate. It moved with impossible speed, weapons firing in precise, devastating patterns. 2 Selfori dreadnoughts were crippled in the first pass, their shields collapsing under weapons that seemed to bypass them entirely. It's using phase-shifted weapons, Ishida said in awe. They're partially out of phase with normal space, so they pass right through the shields. The Selfori responded, concentrating their fire on the mysterious vessel, but most of their shots passed harmlessly through it. Only a few seemed to connect, suggesting the Wraith was shifting in and out of phase even as it fought. Open a channel to the Wraith, Maya ordered. No response, Paddle replied. But I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations in the communication bands. Maya remembered what Sokolov had said about the quantum communication system. Get me Dr. Sokolov. Now. When the scientist appeared on screen, Maya didn't waste time with explanations. The Wraith is here. You said you might be able to communicate with it. Sokolov's eyes widened. Send me the quantum fluctuation data your sensors are picking up. As the battle raged around them, Sokolov worked furiously. Minutes later, she looked up. I've got it. I'm sending you a communication protocol. It should allow you to transmit on the quantum bands they're using. The data arrived, and Paddle quickly implemented it. Channel open, Captain. Maya took a deep breath. EFS Wraith, this is Captain Maya Chen of the EFS Dauntless. We've been looking for you. For several long seconds, there was no response. Then a voice came through, distorted and strangely echoing, as if coming from very far away. This is Captain Adrian Rice of the EFS Wraith. You shouldn't be able to hear us. No one should. Maya's heart raced. Captain Rice, we're using a quantum communication protocol developed by Dr. Elena Sokolov. Another pause, longer this time. When Reyes spoke again, his voice was thick with emotion. Elena is alive. She's there. Yes, Captain. She's on Rigel Station. We can bring you together, but first we need to finish this battle. Stand by, Dauntless. The Wraith accelerated, phasing in and out of visibility as it engaged the remaining Selphori ships. Its tactics were unlike anything Maya had seen before, appearing directly next to enemy vessels, firing at point-blank range, then vanishing before they could respond. Within 20 minutes, the Selphori fleet was in full retreat, leaving behind 3 destroyed dreadnoughts and numerous disabled support ships. As the last Selphori ship jumped to FTL, the Wraith reappeared near the Dauntless, fully visible for the first time. Maya could see now that despite its fearsome capabilities, the ship bore the scars of countless battles, hull plating patched and repatched, burn marks from weapons fire that had managed to connect. Captain Chin, Reyes's voice came through clearer now. Request permission to send a shuttle to Rigel Station. Granted, Captain Reyes. And welcome back. As the Wraith's shuttle departed for Rigel Station, Maya couldn't help but wonder, where had the ship been for 20 years? How had it survived? And most importantly, could it help humanity turn the tide in a war they were losing? The answers, she suspected, would be even more extraordinary than the questions. Beyond the veil, Captain Maya Chen stood in the observation lounge of Rigel Station, watching the reunion unfold. Dr. Elena Sokolov had aged 20 years since Captain Adrian Rice had last seen her, her once dark hair now silver, her face lined with the passage of time. Rice, by contrast, looked almost exactly as he had in the official Federation photographs taken before the Wraith's ill-fated maiden voyage. Dark hair with just touches of gray at the temples, strong features, and intense eyes that had seen things no human was meant to see. When the shuttle had docked and the airlock opened, Rice had stepped through cautiously, as if unsure he would remain solid. Sokolov had frozen in place, one hand rising to cover her mouth. Then they had moved toward each other slowly, touching hands as if to confirm the other was real, before embracing with the desperate intensity of those who had lost everything and suddenly found it again. Now they sat together at a table near the viewport, talking quietly, their heads close together. Maya had given them privacy, but the time had come for answers. Captain Reyes, she said, approaching the table. I hate to interrupt, but we need to discuss the situation. Reyes looked up, his eyes focusing on her with unnerving intensity. Of course, Captain Chen. Please, join us. Maya sat down, noting the way Sokolov kept her hand on Reyes's arm, as if afraid he might disappear again. I'll be direct, Maya said. Where have you and the Wraith been for the past 20 years? And how is it that you can appear and disappear at will? Reyes exchanged a glance with Sokolov before answering. We've been here all along, Captain. Just slightly out of sync with normal spacetime. The phase shift experiment, Sokolov said quietly. It didn't fail. It worked too well. Reyes nodded. The drive was designed to shift us partially out of phase with normal space, making us invisible and untargetable. But something went wrong during the activation sequence. Instead of a partial shift, we experienced a near-complete phase transition. We were pulled into what we now call the between, a layer of reality that exists alongside our own, separated by the thinnest of veils, he continued. We can see your world, interact with it briefly, but we cannot fully return. Maya tried to process this. So you've been trapped in this between for 20 years. Time flows differently there, Reyes said. For us, it's been closer to 5 years. But yes, we've been trapped. We can shift back into normal space for brief periods, minutes at most, before the strain becomes too great and we must return to the between. And yet you've been fighting the Selfori, Maya said. Why? How did you even know about the war? We can see events in normal space while in the between. We watched the Selfori invasion begin, watched Earth's colonies fall one by one. We couldn't stand by and do nothing. So we learned to use our condition as a weapon. Sokolov leaned forward. Adrian, the quantum fluctuations I detected, they're growing stronger, aren't they? The transitions are becoming more difficult. Reyes's face tightened. Yes. Each time we shift back to normal space, it becomes harder to maintain our position. Eventually, we won't be able to shift back at all. Or you'll be trapped in normal space, Sokolov said, which would tear the ship apart. Reyes finished. The Wraith and its crew have been in the between too long. We've become part of it, just as it has become part of us. Maya felt a chill at his words. How many of your original crew remain? 83 out of 115. Reyes replied quietly. We lost some in the initial shift. Others, the between affects different people in different ways. Some couldn't handle the psychological strain. A heavy silence fell over the table. Maya broke it with the question that had been forming since she first heard of the Phantom ship. Captain Reyes, is there a way we could coordinate our efforts? The Federation is losing this war. Your ship has capabilities that could turn the tide. That's why I agreed to meet, Reyes said. We've been fighting our own war against the Selfori, but it's not enough. We need to share what we've learned. For the next hour, they talked strategy. Reyes explained how the Wraith had mapped Selfori fleet movements from the between, identifying vulnerabilities in their formation. He shared intelligence on Selfori technology, including weaknesses in their shield harmonics that the Wraith had exploited with its phase-shifted weapons. Meanwhile, Sokolov worked with data from the Wraith's systems, comparing it to her latest research. I might be able to modify your sensors to detect phase variations, she told Maya. It won't let you see into the between, but it could help you track the Wraith's movements and coordinate attacks. And I believe we can develop a more stable method of communication, Reyes added. The quantum entanglement technology we've been using to maintain internal ship systems could be adapted. As they talked, Maya began to see the possibilities. The Wraith couldn't win the war alone, but as a Phantom ally, striking where least expected and sharing intelligence from its unique vantage point. It could change the equation significantly. Their planning was interrupted by Commander Ishida's urgent call from the Dauntless. Captain, long-range sensors have detected a massive Selfori fleet assembling at the edge of the system. Largest concentration we've ever seen, at least 15 dreadnoughts and dozens of support vessels. Maya exchanged a grim look with Reyes. They know the Wraith is here. And they're determined to destroy it, Reyes agreed. Captain Chen, you need to evacuate Rigel Station immediately, get your ships to safety, and leave you to face them alone. No. The Wraith can escape to the between. Your ships cannot. But you said yourself that each transition is becoming more difficult, Maya countered. If you face that fleet alone, you might not be able to shift back in time. Sokolov, who had been working furiously at a nearby terminal, looked up. "I have another option." Both captains turned to her. "I've been analyzing the Wraith's phase shift data. I believe I can modify your shield generators to create a partial phase shift field." "You want to shift our ships into the between?" Maya asked, alarmed. "No, not fully. Just enough to give your weapons and shields some of the same properties as the Wraiths. Your weapons would partially bypass sulfury shields, and your own shields would be more resistant to their fire." Rise looked skeptical. "Elena, the risks are significant," she acknowledged. "But so is the opportunity. This could be the breakthrough we need." "How quickly can these modifications be implemented?" Maya asked. 4 hours for a basic version. It won't be as effective as the Wraith systems, but it should give you an edge." Maya made her decision. "Do it. Commander Ishida, begin evacuation of non-essential personnel from Rigel Station. Priority on research data and equipment, and have engineering teams standing by to implement Dr. Sokolov's modifications." As Sokolov left to begin work, Maya turned back to Reyes. "We stand together, Captain. That's how humanity has survived this long." Reyes looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Together, then. But there's something else you should know about the Excelfori." "What's that?" "They're afraid of the Wraith. We've observed their communications while in the between. They call us the ghost that kills, and believe we're some kind of supernatural weapon." Maya smiled slowly. "Then let's give them something to really be afraid of." 3 hours later, the modifications to the Dauntless and the remaining ships of Maya's task force were underway. Sokolov worked tirelessly, directing engineering teams remotely as they installed her hastily designed phase shift emitters on the shift shield generators and weapon systems. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Maya reviewed the tactical situation with Reyes, who had temporarily returned to the Wraith to prepare his own crew. "The Excelfori fleet will be within firing range in 30 minutes, Maya said, studying the holographic display. "Even with Sokolov's modifications, we're outnumbered 5-1. "Numbers aren't everything," Reyes replied via the quantum communication link. "The Excelfori rely on overwhelming force and predictable tactics. Their commanders lack initiative. They follow protocols rigidly. And you've exploited that." "Every chance we get." There was a grim satisfaction in Reyes's voice. "The Wraith will take the lead, draw their attention. When they focus on us, your task force can hit their flanks with your phase-shifted weapons." It was a sound strategy, but Maya knew the risks. "And if you can't shift back to the between in time?" A pause. "Then it's been an honor serving with you, Captain Chen, however briefly." The Excelfori fleet arrived exactly when predicted, dropping out of FTL in perfect formation. 3 groups of 5 dreadnoughts each, surrounded by cruisers and destroyers. Against this armada, Maya's force seemed pitiful. The Dauntless, the damaged Intrepid, the even more battered Fearless, and the mysterious Wraith. "All ships, battle formation Delta," Maya ordered. "Activate phase shift modifications on my mark." The Federation ships moved into position, creating a defensive screen around Rigel Station, where evacuation shuttles were still departing. The Wraith hung slightly apart, its black hull seeming to absorb the light from nearby stars. "Excelfori fleet launching fighters," Ishida reported. "They're powering weapons." "Stand firm," Maya said. "Let them make the first move." The Excelfori didn't wait long. Their forward dreadnoughts opened fire, sending brilliant streams of energy toward the Federation ships. At the same moment, swarms of fighters began their attack runs. "Now, Adrian," Maya called. The Wraith vanished, then reappeared in the midst of the Excelfori formation. Its weapons fired in all directions, cutting through shields and armor as if they weren't there. 3 Excelfori ships erupted in explosions before the rest could react. "Activate phase shift modifications," Maya ordered. "All ships engage targets of opportunity." The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Dauntless's weapons, normally barely able to dent a dreadnought's shields, now passed partially through them, striking the hulls directly. The Excelfori, confused by this sudden change in capabilities, hesitated in their attack. "It's working," Ishida exclaimed. But Maya knew it wouldn't last. Already, the Selfori were adapting, adjusting their shield frequencies to compensate, and the Wraith, still in the heart of the enemy formation, was taking heavy fire from all sides. "Captain Rice, status," Maya called. "Phase shift systems at critical levels," came the strained reply. "We need to withdraw soon. Fall back to our position. We'll cover you." The Wraith began to move toward the Federation line, but its movements were sluggish. Sections of the hull flickered in and out of visibility, suggesting the phase shift was becoming unstable. On the Dauntless's bridge, alarm klaxons blared. "Phase shift modifications overloading," Paddle reported. "Shields down to 40%. Maya made a quick decision. Divert power from weapons to shields. Intrepid and Fearless, concentrate fire on the dreadnoughts targeting the Wraith. The Federation ships fought valiantly, but the tide was turning. The Excelfori, realizing the threat the Wraith posed, concentrated their fire on the mysterious ship. Each hit seemed to make it more solid, more vulnerable. "They're using some kind of phase-locking weapons," Sokolov said from her station, where she was monitoring the Wraith's systems remotely. "They're forcing the Wraith to remain in normal space." "Can you counter it?" Maya asked. "Working on it," Sokolov replied, her fingers flying over the controls. The battle reached a crescendo as the Wraith, now fully visible and unable to shift to the between, took hit after hit. Its advanced armor held, but Maya could see it wouldn't last much longer. Then Sokolov looked up, her face pale. "I've identified the source of the phase-locking field. It's coming from the lead dreadnought, the one with the distinctive red markings. Target that ship," Maya ordered. All available weapons. The Dauntless, Intrepid, and Fearless concentrated their fire on the lead dreadnought, but its shields were the strongest in the fleet. Their attacks barely made a dent. "It's not enough," Ishida said. On the view screen, Maya saw the Wraith change course, accelerating directly toward the lead dreadnought. "Captain Rice, what are you doing?" she demanded. "What needs to be done?" came the calm reply. "Our phase shift drive is destabilizing. We can't return to the between." "Adrian, no," Sokolov cried, realizing his intention. "Elena," Rice's voice softened. "We were always living on borrowed time. The between was never meant for humans." "There has to be another way," Maya insisted. "There isn't, but we can make our end count." A pause. "Captain Chen, do you know what happens when a phase shift drive detonates while partially shifted?" Maya felt cold realization wash over her. "It creates a ripple effect across both realities." "Precisely. A tear in the fabric between dimensions. Our sensors indicate that Selfori are particularly sensitive to such disturbances. It's why they fear us so much." The Wraith was picking up speed, heading straight for the heart of the Selfori formation. "We're transmitting all our data to you now," Rice continued. "Everything we've learned about the between, about Selfori weaknesses, about the phase shift technology. Use it well." "Adrian, please," Sokolov whispered. "I'm sorry, Elena. For everything. For leaving you alone all these years." His voice was thick with emotion. "But I wouldn't trade our time for anything. Not even a normal life." The Wraith was now seconds away from impact with the lead dreadnought. Selfori weapons fire concentrated on it, tearing chunks from its hull. But it didn't slow. "All Federation ships, maximum shields, and prepare for dimensional shockwave," Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the knot in her throat. "It's been an honor fighting alongside you, Captain Chen," Rice said. "Tell Earth. Tell them the Wraith completed its mission." The Wraith slammed into the lead dreadnought at full speed, its already unstable phase shift drive overloading on impact. For a brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a blinding flash of light erupted from the point of collision. The light wasn't normal. It bent and twisted, as if reality itself was being warped. It expanded outward in a sphere, passing through ships and space alike. When it reached the Federation ships, Maya felt a strange sensation, as if she was simultaneously in two places at once. Then the wave passed, and where the center of the Selthori fleet had been, there was nothing. A perfect sphere of empty space, as if that section of reality had simply been erased.